Nominated for Best Community College Radio Station 2014 by the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System.
Everything you want to hear from the voice of Cerritos College. WPMD on the net, where people make a difference.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Falcon Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob JF, and it's another great morning. We came off of election week, and we have a special guest. At this time, I would like my guest to please introduce himself.
Good morning, Cerritos College. This is Gilbert Contreras. I am the Dean of Student Services.
Excellent. Now, you have been here for about, a month? Or
starting week 4.
Excellent. Now, I know that, we just had our elections time. How was that like, having to be here till super late that day?
Last week was pretty intense. Actually, the last couple of weeks experiencing the elections at Cerritos College. A tremendous amount of interest among the students and activity among the campaigners. And for me, it was really exciting to see all the different people, the diversity of Cerritos College coming forward to partake in the elections. I know there were, some concerns in the process, and our court did a really good job, and our election board did an excellent job responding to some concerns in a very timely manner. But for the most part, for me, it was inspiring. It was inspiring to see students come forward and want to stake a claim in the leadership of students here at Cerritos College. And for me, I'm really excited about working with whoever gets elected next year. And I understand we already have a new trustee elected, so I'm looking forward to working with Trustee Daniel as he comes on board and providing leadership. But the election itself, like I said, despite some of the concerns that came up and, people focusing on some of the procedural challenges that we had during the election process, it was very inspiring and motivating to see so many Cerritos College students interested in what the leadership is going to look like among students. And there are a lot of very important issues that are on the forefront right now that students will be talking about. The increase in the number of sections coming for the summer, next year developing leadership and improving some of the election procedures, as well as, a lot of activity around the environment. We had a lot of questions during the debates about the environment and the Go Green movement and, what types of leadership is going to be involved in shaping that at Cerritos College next year and for many years to come as we move to a more sustainable campus environment at Cerritos College. So jumping in the first week, I saw a lot of activity at Cerritos College. It was really wonderful to partake in the Spring Festival, to participate as a judge in the Mr. Cerritos contest and taste all those yummy cupcakes and chili and all that stuff that the students were bringing forward. I won a ton of stuffed animals. I think I gave them all away because I don't know if my wife would let me bring those home. But at the same time, just diving right in and getting involved in the activity here at Cerritos, I am very optimistic about helping out next year and working with the student leaders to provide more leadership for students.
And this week is a pretty big week with the whole Diversity Week. What do you think about the Diversity Week this week? The, Earth Day and, Go Green and recycling.
Well, it's a really exciting time. We got the Global Village happening. We got the runoff election for the president and vice president here. We got the Go Green event happening tomorrow. A really good presentation on sustainability coming. I made a few phone calls out to some council people and school board members, so we'll have some local dignitaries participating in that Go Green presentation tomorrow, and we'll see the type of leadership that's out there in the community, really thinking about making Cerritos College a Go Green or environmentally friendly place, and as well as, what does the future look like in terms of industry? What types of jobs are there going to be emerging, environmentally sound planning? And my background is in urban planning, and, I received my PhD at UCLA, where their emphasis is on social justice as well as on, environmentally sound planning moving towards the future. So for me, I think this week is very exciting because it showcases a lot of what Cerritos College stands for in terms of creating global citizens and really appreciating diversity, as well as prioritizing, sound practices that will make sure Cerritos College and the surrounding community has sound practices in terms of respecting the environment. So it's an exciting time here at Cerritos College. I'm looking forward to participating in these activities and to, learning all of the planning and learning all of the stuff that has gone into to make this week happen, and hopefully, help out next year so that we can do the same thing and, maybe make a few improvements if I'm able to. So, it's an exciting time.
Excellent. We'll be right back after these public service announcements.
Wednesday afternoons at 2 Pacific on WPMD on the net. It's Swingin' with the World.
I've got the world on a string.
Swingin' with the World with Peggy Sue.
Swingin' with the World plays 40s and 50s music. We do everything from the Warriors, and that's what I like.
Big bands, saloon singers, classic vocal groups.
It makes me want to jump and jive, and I want to give that gift that I have to the people who are listening.
Swingin' with the World, 2 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday on WPMD on the net, where people make a difference.
Because it's my show. It's amazing.
Yoga class. We're the friends you go out with on a Saturday night. We're the friends you hang out with and do nothing.
We're the friends who laugh at the same things you do.
We're the friends who will help you move.
I'm the friend who'll be there if you're ever dealing with a mental illness.
Be there for your friend. Your support and understanding will give them a much greater chance of recovery. Mental illness. What a difference a friend makes. For more information on how to help a friend dealing with mental illness, go to whatadifference.org. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to the Falcon Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob JF, and I am here with my guest, the new Dean of Student Activities. Now, I know that many students here at Cerritos College, they're often, they feel more, more confident in themselves when they also hear inspirational stories from our faculty and various employees here on campus on their stories of what was school like for them. So I was wondering, what was college like for you? Did you know right away what you wanted to major in?
Actually, no. My path in higher ed was, for me, it was something that started, throughout my childhood. My parents always instilled in us, we want you to go to college, and college is something we want you to do. And my mom and dad, they didn't have the opportunity to finish college. My father was drafted and served in the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War. And from a very early age, they instilled in us the values of an education. And my mom would volunteer. I grew up locally. I went to William Moore Elementary School. My mom, I remember, would volunteer and be like the room mother and making cupcakes and doing all of that stuff. And, I went to Lakeside Middle School after William Moore. And then I went on to Santa Fe High School, where I was really involved in a lot of different activities on campus, particularly athletics. I played football, I played basketball, I played baseball. Of which, when I went on to UC Berkeley, I played baseball on the California baseball team there for 1 year before I retired. I say retired, substituting the word for quit, but it was at that point that I really noticed that I was out there at practice and I wanted to take classes that were being offered. There was certain classes that were offered when I was out there having to practice, and it was that moment I realized that, hey, my heart's not into this and I need to get back to the classroom. But as far as, growing up in Norwalk, growing up locally, and going straight to UC Berkeley, it was a bit of a cultural shock, a culture shock, as they say in the literature, because I felt like I was in a whole different world, like, an extraterrestrial dropped on a planet, and I didn't really understand a lot of what it meant to be a successful college student. And in high school, I didn't really have the skills. I didn't know how to study. I didn't know how to seek out resources. I didn't know, what it meant to be a successful student in higher ed. And it was through my experiences at Berkeley that I was able to learn that. And a lot of that came from mentorship. It came from, living in the dorms and having these career speaker series where, faculty members or people working out in the community would come in and share, their stories and what they were pursuing and what careers they were working on. And for me, that was how my education really got started. And it all tied into, the summer before I was going off to Cal, and the fact that my cousin was murdered by a gang member. And for me, that was something that really changed my life and changed the trajectory of what I wanted to do in this world. So I was going off to college the summer before, and he was murdered. And it was at that point I said, how is his life going in this direction and my life going in a different direction? And at that point I said, I want to do something in this world where I can help, young people and people in general choose positive life options for themselves. And at 17, you don't know what the heck that means. You're going to school trying to figure out what is what at that time. And it was through those programs and services at UC Berkeley that really helped me, hone in on what I wanted to do. And, it was tough, the cultural shock, primarily an A and B student at Santa Fe High School, going to UC Berkeley, your first test you get back, and it's a whopping 36 out of 100. But understanding that, the mean in the class was like a 42, so it wasn't that bad. But, seeking out the resources, seeking out the tutoring assistance, and having mentors available to talk to you about what actually is available and how to be successful is very important. And if it weren't for those programs like the McNair Scholars Program or the UC Accord Program, I would not have, earned a PhD from UCLA in city planning. So, that story, how it weaves together a bunch of different things, and the fact that, I'm from Norwalk and experience, a lot of what a lot of our students are going through. Life is happening out there, and it's up to us here at the institution to connect students to those services that are going to help them be successful, because our goal here is to see more and more students walk across that stage at commencement, and we're all working tirelessly to accomplish that goal. Our faculty are doing an outstanding job. I've seen some presentations on the Falcon program here, and understanding and seeing how intense our vice presidents are working really long hours to make sure that we're doing the best we can so that Cerritos College students are earning access to a great education and prepare them for life in the community. So my story, I know it's a long way around that whole thing, but it's something that it's still being written. It's not done, and I think that's what a lot of students need to hear, in the fact that you have the right to change your mind. You can change your mind and find what really works for you, find what you're good at. And for me, it's a real blessing to come to work every day and come to Cerritos College in my hometown and to work with students who are growing up in the community in which I grew up, or living in the community in which I grew up, and to help make a difference in their lives.
Excellent. And we'll be right back. We are back on the Falcon Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob JF, and we are still here with our Dean of Student Activities. Now, I was wondering, do you have any words for our students, as we're almost going to approach finals soon? How did you handle finals?
Study. Easy answer, right? Handling finals, it was pretty difficult, balancing a couple of jobs while I was going to school, and finding the time to manage your job responsibilities, your school responsibilities. So if I have any tips, it's make sure you plan ahead, schedule your time to study. Being a student is a full-time job, and make sure that you prioritize studying and, take the necessary steps to study effectively. One of the things I learned over my time is to it's not enough just to take notes. You need to review the notes and, process what you're doing and think about it and get in the mindset to study so that you're prepared when the test comes up, and, anticipate questions. Look at your syllabus. Look at what you have covered over the semester and think about, what are some likely questions. Sometimes faculty members give out problem sets or possible questions they may ask, and take time to critically reflect on those questions, connect to your syllabus, and think about what was I supposed to learn this semester? What am I supposed to get out of this semester? And take time to sit down and actually study.
Excellent. We have our runoff elections this Wednesday and Thursday. I know that some students, they might not be familiar with any rules and so forth. Do you have any suggestions for, as far as campaigners, what to do, what not to do?
At this point, Cerritos College hasn't experienced a runoff election in some time, it's my understanding. And starting week 4 here, I would really defer to the election board. And if you have any questions, students who are involved in the election board would be able to address those concerns. I'm not sure if they're starting to campaign already or if it just carries over. Again, I would really encourage you to talk to the election board to find out what the do's and don'ts are for the runoff.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to having you on the show again soon.
Thank you. I look forward to it, too. If I could just have one plug, one of the things I really want to do is be available to listen to students. So I'm going to be implementing a dean's office hour, so you can come in and talk about anything that would help you as a student here at Cerritos College. We really want to work towards improving student life here. So come and share your commendations. I have a wonderful staff down there doing great things. In student activities, Cynthia and AJ are working tirelessly for you. Nikki has come back, really helped me out a ton to work on judicial affairs. Doreen's holding down over there the game room, and Shirley Arceo has done a fantastic job with school relations. We just had our senior preview day. So, come and talk to us, share your commendations, share your concerns. Let us know how we can help you here with student life at Cerritos College. So there'll be more information coming out about this dean's office hour, so I can hear from you directly. Maybe we'll have like milk and cookies or some carne asada, or we'll do something to make it, a less formal environment where you could just share openly your concerns and your commendations.
Well, thank you very much. I look forward to having you again soon. And tune in, ladies and gentlemen, to Deaf Man's Music Next.